for our new listeners and some of my listeners who may not be familiar with you, explain to us what the Silver Legion is.
Well, the Silver Legion is an organization of light warriors. We're largely based in the non-physical realms, primarily the spirit realms, which comprise, among other layers, what people often refer to as the astral plane. That's just the bottom layer of it. It goes on much, much farther than that. But we mostly live there. Some of them are also extra-dimensionals, and many come from other universes, other planets, other galaxies, other realities all together. And it's a real melting pot of cultures and people. And we're in this fray here, helping out as much as we can on Earth. There are limitations to what we can do here on Earth, but I think we will probably discuss that further. And we're helping to try to free humanity. We'd like to see this planet have a chance. We'd like to see the human beings on this planet have a chance to live according to their free will desire and what they choose, rather than having it chosen for them by people who may not have their best interests in mind.
Let me ask you, what are some of the star systems that make up the entities of the Silver Legion?
Well, that's a little impossible to answer, seeing as most of us come from other universes where giving you a name of a planet would not offer much utility. I will tell you that we do have a lot of members who come from what comes to us here on Earth as fictional universes. In fact, they are not fictional at all. What we get represented to us as fictional is an echo that an author or a comic book creator or a movie maker or a writer picks up on, right, and brings to us, and that's how we learn it. It's filtered through our human perspective, our Earth-based perspective. And the reality of these individuals is that they're not fictional at all. They're real people, and a lot of them are really nice.
You know what?
Really, really committed to this work.
You know what? Give us a description of the cube and what it was being used for.
Well, the cube was just that. It was a giant cube-shaped installation, around 50 kilometers or around 31 miles for you Americans in your imperial system, on a side. And it was located 15 degrees north on the ecliptic, out past the Kuiper Belt, in the direction of Alpha Centauri. And it was not a ship, it was an installation, and it was being used as a supply depot and refit ship for the dreadnoughts that were in system. And it was also being used as a prison facility to store human souls, which were then subjected to torture in order to force them to produce negative emotions and anguish for the builders of the cube to then feed on.
Are you talking about Hellraiser? That certainly sounds like Hellraiser to me.
The reptilians.
I've never watched Hellraiser. Sorry.
Oh, no, but I'm telling you.
I've watched a lot of movies. No, Vince, I think I'm going to have to clear something up here. You experience yourself as your body, and you experience your soul as this amorphous, formless thing. That is not the case. Your soul is not formless. It has a form, it has a shape. When we talk about human souls, we're talking about souls that are shaped like humans and have a human origin.
Okay.
Energy.
Yes, the spirit is amorphous and formless, cannot be harmed, cannot be destroyed, cannot be created, comes straight from source. The soul is the shape that that spirit wears.
Right. And
the body is what your soul wears here on Earth.
The body is our manifestation.
So when I'm talking about human souls, they appear to us as human beings.
Okay.
We can touch them. We can feel them. They can hug us. In fact, there were a lot of hugs going on after they were freed. They can be harmed. They can be healed. They can be set free. These are souls that once inhabited human bodies here on Earth, but were removed from their rightful human bodies and stolen away and imprisoned. Well, the cube was using energy generated from the human consciousness grid. Now, there's several different sets of lines and grids on this planet, some natural, some not natural, some beneficial, some not so much. And there was one that was natural that is called the human consciousness grid. And for every species on the planet, there is a grid for that species. And this one happened to be tuned to the human one. And the human suppressed. It had been changed so that instead of boosting human consciousness, it was suppressing human consciousness. And it had been modified to send energy gathered from all the human beings on this planet to that cube, which was then used for a number of purposes, including creating a giant shield around the cube and the ships in the area to protect it from attack from friendly extraterrestrials, for instance, and extra-dimensionals who quite wanted this cube gone, but because of the shielding and the defenses around the cube, hadn't been able to do it yet.
Now that this cube has been destroyed, how does that affect our consciousness, or how does it affect social consciousness? Because you're saying that it was being used to suppress our consciousness, our natural flow of consciousness. Now that it's gone, what differences or subtle differences might we notice now that this cube is no longer there affecting the flow of that magnetic energy?
I would hope that people are starting to feel more hopeful, feel less fear. I would hope that people are starting to lose their non-physical parasites a little more easily. You'll see, I think, a reduction in normal crime and a small uptick in really, really weird-ass crime.
Oh, we've seen that.
And I think we can already see some of the really, really weird-ass crime stuff. Some of these recent cannibal attacks and whatnot, and just absolute bizarre, violent, strange crimes.
Yes.
This is not indicative of an increase in human awfulness. This is an indication of the few remaining people who are susceptible getting basically dogpiled on by unpleasant things that can no longer attach to the rest of us because the change of the consciousness grid has made us immune to them.
Right. And you know what?